Some of you might recognise where I am, behind the Asda on Kirkstall Road. However, this lane that stretches out in front of us right now goes back a long, long way. I'm always looking for new ways to tell stories, especially ones about history. So here goes. Let's learn the secrets of Redcote Lane. It stretches back to the very early 1800s at least as a right-of-way. The working classes of Armley using it every morning and evening to commute from their homes over to this side of the River Aire, to work in the many mills and factories of Burley. Where the lane cuts through Armley Park and golf course, it was often known as Lantern Lane, as the glow of the workers' lanterns would illuminate the lane before the sun rose and after it set as they commuted. That green bridge? Gott's Bridge, to be precise. Well, it didn't always look like that. Originally it was just a stone bridge with round toll houses either side, but it needed a major upgrade in the early 20th century when the lane took on a new purpose, as the main access road to the newly built Kirkstall Power Station. A coal-fired behemoth which would dominate the Kirkstall and Burley skyline for over 40 years. Please excuse my constant drifting to the left while flying, by the way. It was pretty windy. Anyway, after reinforcing the old bridge, enabling it to carry the heavy loads needed to construct a power station, the site grew rapidly. Leeds had only one power station prior to this, right bang in the middle of the city centre on Whitehall Road. Another coal-fired station, it was one of the main contributors to the city's abysmal air quality in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. So despite the idea today that building a second power station adjacent to a heavily populated residential area seems insane, back in the early 1900s it seemed like a great idea. It solved the need of Leeds' ever-growing demand for electricity, something that was improving the standard of living seemingly more immediately than poor air quality was stripping it away. The power station's site sprawled out either side of Redcote Lane that we're following. The east side, on the left of the screen, was where the main power generation facilities sat. 9 boilers burning pulverised coal fed steam into generators capable of producing 200 megawatts of power. The River Aire, which snakes its way through the site, was the primary method of cooling, along with 2 enormous cooling towers which sat on the west side of Redcote Lane, on the right of the screen. Think The Simpsons and you won't be far off. As you can see, following the power station's closure in 1976, nothing of the site really remains except its footprint, which is much more easily understood from above. And fascinatingly, well, to me anyway, a lot of the structures of the site, well, their materials anyway, are still here. A huge amount of the rubble and debris from the demolition was simply piled up and loosely turfed over. There is also a suspicious amount of grey concrete, like that used to build the cooling towers, sitting at the bottom of the River Aire adjacent. Peer in on a particularly sunny day, and you'll see the riverbed replaced by concrete rubble. That large mound behind the five-a-side pitches is essentially a grassy mound of bricks. And as you can see, the station sat at the bottom of the Aire Valley, and Leeds' prevailing westerly winds would have strewn the dirty air from the boiler's chimneys all across the city centre and its eastern wards like Chapeltown and Hare Hills. This fact alone is a huge reason why Leeds is laid out the way it is. The poor to the east, where the wind blew the smoke of every chimney, and the rich to the west, with cleaner air and, being upstream of the River Aire, cleaner water. Yet in just 40 years since the power station was demolished, nature has reclaimed the site with a vengeance. Helped enormously by the western half of the site being turned into Kirkstall Valley Nature Reserve. The River Aire, once a danger to even stick your arm in, now has salmon flowing through its waters. And this site is a testament to the Earth's ability to heal itself after humans scar its surface. It's a success story of how a heavily industrialised piece of land can be returned to both nature and local people. The wharf on the canal used to unload coal. It's now a marina for canal barges and pleasure boats. The pulverizing plant, it's now a caravan storage park. In fact, the biggest hint to the site's past are the remaining electricity substations, where the incredibly high voltage electricity transported via overhead lines is stepped down to supply the 240 volts we all have flowing through our homes. And despite the power station being long gone, the site is still responsible for transmitting electricity to much of Burley, Kirkstall, Armley and Bramley. And the most remarkable thing is that from start to finish, the power station's entire lifespan was just 46 years. I sometimes find it unsettling how a structure, or a series of structures so vast, so important, can live a life shorter than that of a human being. How millions of tons of concrete, steel and glass came and disappeared in a shorter time than, hopefully, my mortal body will. I guess nothing is permanent, and the only constant you can expect in life is change.